Saving $10 today can often trigger a $1,000 loss in the very near future. This paradox represents the high cost of being cheap, a psychological trap where short-term frugality actively sabotages long-term wealth accumulation and financial independence for millions of households. While cutting coupons and hunting for discounts may seem like the path to prosperity, data suggests that misapplied frugality often leads to what economists call the false economy. This occurs when the resources required to maintain, replace, or recover from cheap decisions far exceed the initial savings achieved at the point of sale. This breakdown explores the 4 specific ways that being cheap creates a hidden tax on wealth. By understanding the difference between value and price, investors and professionals can stop hemorrhaging money on the low-cost options that are quietly draining their bank accounts through maintenance, opportunity cost, and health risks. The most visible trap of extreme frugality is the constant replacement cycle of low-quality goods. Known as the Vimes Boots Theory of socioeconomic unfairness, it posits that a person who buys $50 boots every 6 months will spend more over a decade than a person who buys one $300 pair that lasts 10 years. In modern households, this is most prevalent in appliances and electronics, where the cheapest model often lacks modular parts or repairability. A $200 vacuum cleaner with a non-replaceable battery effectively becomes a recurring subscription cost every 2 years, whereas a high-end modular unit remains functional for 15 years with minor maintenance. Statistical analysis of consumer products shows that the lowest tier price bracket typically carries the highest cost-per-use ratio. While the initial transaction feels like a win, the annualized cost of ownership for bargain bin items is frequently 3 to 4 times higher than mid to high-range alternatives that offer superior durability and warranties. Furthermore, the secondary market for cheap goods is non-existent. A person purchasing a budget brand vehicle may save $5,000 upfront, but the depreciation curve for lower-tier brands is often 20% steeper than for reliable manufacturers, resulting in a significantly lower net worth when it comes time to trade in the asset. By focusing on the total cost of ownership rather than the sticker price, wealthy individuals avoid the churn of the replacement economy. They understand that a purchase is an investment in future utility, and paying more upfront is often the only way to lock in a lower long-term expenditure rate. But here's where it gets interesting. The cost isn't always measured in dollars. Time is the only non-renewable resource in a financial portfolio, yet it is the first thing people sacrifice to save small amounts of money. Driving 5 miles out of the way to save 10 cents per gallon on fuel is a classic example of a negative return activity when the time spent is measured against a person's hourly earning potential. Consider a professional earning $60 per hour who spends 4 hours on a Saturday troubleshooting a basic plumbing issue to save a $200 plumber's fee. Effectively, this individual has traded $240 worth of time to save $200, while lacking the professional's guarantee against future leaks and water damage. The do-it-yourself trap often ignores the opportunity cost of skill development or high-value work. If a freelance consultant spends 10 hours a month on manual data entry to avoid a $30 software subscription, they are essentially valuing their professional expertise at $3 per hour during that window, which stalls their career scaling. Research into high-net-worth individuals shows a strong preference for buying back time. This includes outsourcing low-value chores, using direct flights instead of multiple layovers, and paying for expedited services. These decisions aren't luxury, they are strategic moves to reallocate time toward activities that generate a higher return on investment, such as learning or networking. The data tells a different story for those who refuse to delegate. By insisting on doing everything themselves to save a few dollars, many people create a productivity ceiling. They become so bogged down in the maintenance of life that they have no bandwidth left for the strategic thinking required to jump into higher income brackets. Perhaps the most dangerous form of being cheap is underinvesting in one's physical health. Choosing the cheapest, highly processed food options over nutrient-dense whole foods can save a family roughly $2,000 per year, but the long-term medical costs associated with chronic inflammation and diet-related illness are catastrophic. According to the CDC, chronic diseases that are often preventable through diet and lifestyle account for 90% of the nation's $4.1 trillion in annual healthcare expenditures. A person who saves $50 a week on groceries by opting for high-sodium, low-nutrient meals is effectively taking out a high-interest loan against their future health. Similarly, skipping preventative maintenance like dental cleanings or annual physicals to save on copays is a failed financial strategy. $100 dental cleaning can prevent a $3,000 root canal, yet millions of people defer this care, trading a small amount of current liquidity for a massive future liability. Wealth is inextricably linked to energy levels and cognitive function. Nutritional deficiencies caused by a cheap diet lead to brain fog and fatigue, reducing a worker's output and their ability to compete for promotions or build businesses. In this way, poor nutrition acts as a hidden drag on an individual's lifetime earnings potential. The true cost of a cheap lifestyle eventually shows up on an EKG or a blood panel. By the time the financial consequences manifest in the form of medical bills and lost work days, the savings from years of bargain hunting in the grocery aisle have been wiped out many times over. But physical health isn't the only asset being neglected. In the digital age, a professional's infrastructure, their computer, internet connection, and software, is their primary engine for wealth creation. Using a lagging 5-year-old laptop to save $1,000 on a replacement creates micro-frictions that can sap up to 15% of a person's daily productivity through slow load times and system crashes. Over a single year, that 15% loss in productivity equates to nearly 6 weeks of wasted time. For a worker earning $50,000 a year, that is $7,500 in lost value, far exceeding the cost of the highest-end workstation available on the market. Underinvesting in professional development is another way frugality stalls growth. Refusing to pay for a specialized certification or a high-level industry conference because of the ticket price keeps an individual isolated from the latest market trends and high-value networking circles that lead to salary breakthroughs. The IRS reports that many small business owners fail not because of lack of revenue, but because of poor record-keeping and tax strategy caused by DIY accounting. By being too cheap to hire a professional CPA, these owners often miss out on thousands in legal deductions and end up paying more in penalties than the accountant would have cost. The psychological weight of using subpar tools also contributes to burnout. When every task is harder than it needs to be because of low-quality equipment, the mental energy required to sustain a career increases significantly, leading to a shorter peak earning window over the course of a lifetime. Ultimately, wealth is built by maximizing the output of one's assets, and the most important asset is the ability to produce value. Sabotaging that production with cheap tools is like a farmer refusing to buy a tractor and insisting on tilling 1,000 acres with a shovel to save on fuel and maintenance costs. True wealth is not found in the money one refuses to spend, but in the efficiency and longevity of the value one chooses to acquire. The most successful individuals prioritize high-quality goods, their own time, and their physical well-being over the hollow satisfaction of a low-sticker price. If this breakdown changed how you think about the hidden costs of frugality, the next video breaks down how to identify value investments in your everyday life to accelerate your net worth.